What are value-added steps? Whenever we look at a process, we can look at each step or action or decision within that process to determine if it adds value or it does not. In Lean and Six Sigma, value is always defined in the eyes of your customer. When we understand our customer's expectations, we can evaluate each step to determine how and if it achieves that value. To determine which steps in your process are value added, we can use the 3 C's. First, it must be something the customer is willing to pay for. If your customer is not willing to pay for you to complete a given step or action or decision, then why are you doing it? Now, I have said here willing to pay for, but you may have customers that do not technically pay for your product or service. If this is the case, you may want to use something the customer cares about instead. This is especially true when evaluating internal processes or working for nonprofit organizations. Second, does it change the product or service in some way? Every step in your process should transform your product or service in some way. Otherwise, you're simply handing off a product or service to the next step without making any changes. If you are not transforming your product or service in some way, then why are you doing this step? What value is it providing? Third, is it correct the first time? Each time you perform a given action or step or decision, it can only be considered value added if it was not defective. If you must perform this step many times to transform the product or service in some way, then you are reworking the product or service, which is not adding value. For a step in a process to be truly value added, it must meet all 3 of these conditions. It must be something the customer is willing to pay for. It must change the product or service in some way. And it must be done correctly the first time. All other steps in your processes are waste or non-value added. It's common, even in the best organizations, that the majority of steps that we do every day are non-value added.